It's top of the hour, and it's time for Making a Difference. On this show, we explore people in our community and the differences that they make in our lives. I'm your host, CJ Metcalfe. Today, I am so excited about our guest that's going to be on the show. It's dealing with veterans, and you know that I have a big place in my heart with veterans. And where we're going to explore is Wreaths Across America. And we're going to find out how, where, when, how you can participate. So I'm really excited for this show. And so at this time, I would like to bring my guest on, Mrs. Pat Tyler of Wreaths Across America. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. How are you, CJ?
Hey, well, on this subject matter, I couldn't be better.
Well, good.
Let's start off, Pat. Let's talk about a little bit of the history behind Wreaths Across America.
Wreaths Across America began around 1992 when the Worcester Wreath Company in Maine had an overreach of what you might consider a Christmas wreath. And they sent them to Arlington National Cemetery. There were 5,000 that went that year. And so many people saw the beautiful picture of the wreaths in the snow against the Arlington headstones, and they put out requests to the Wreath Company. And in 2007, Wreaths Across America, which is a nonprofit, was formed. And that is giving all of us the privilege now to sponsor wreaths for placements on veterans' graves here and around the country and overseas as well.
Wow, you guys are you are worldwide, you are huge, and what a huge endeavor this is to do. I thank you for all of the time and effort that you put forth in this gesture.
Thank you.
I learned something in talking to you the other day when I said decoration, and I was referring to the wreaths as decorations. And at that point, you said these are not Christmas wreaths.
That is correct. They're considered memorial wreaths, and they get placed in December, and they have a red velvet bow on them, which makes them appear as though they are a Christmas wreath. And I think that placement time was a reminder of how many of our servicemen and women were not going to be home for Christmas. So that's how that began. But they are not a Christmas wreath per se. They are a memorial remembrance wreath.
How wonderful. Oh, that is just what a tribute to our fallen soldiers. It's just incredible. Now, Pat, you oversee a specific area here, like around Charlotte County. You want to talk about where you extend out to?
I would love to. Last year, the COVID year, of course, wreath placement in some of the areas was very different. And we presented Wreaths Across America to Charlotte Memorial Cemetery and asked if they would host us here locally in Punta Gorda, which they agreed to. So we had our first local presentation last year in December, and they've asked us to come and do it again this year because so many people were not able to get to a national cemetery. And you can place a wreath in honor of or in memory of a first responder, a living or deceased veteran, and you can come out and help us here or go to a national cemetery in the area where you live if you want to volunteer. So when a wreath is sponsored, it gets placed on a veteran's grave or in front of a columbarium, where the cremains might be. I see Marie has put up the flyer that gives them pretty much of a background of wreath history and what you are able to do to take part in it. And I'm around the city a lot, so if you reach out to me, we would love to have you help us.
Okay, how would people, like if they want to keep this on a local level, which, that's kind of a trendy thing nowadays to keep it local and know where your money's going. Okay, let's go through. If people want to sponsor a wreath. Number one, what is the best way to get a hold of you so that they know their money is going local and they can participate from there? So they've brought it up here on the screen. So is that your phone number, 941-833-0345?
That's my home phone number. I have an answering machine. If anyone has questions, I will return any and every call. I will speak in front of a group if you give me a call and we can get that scheduled. The wreaths are only $15, and when you see them, they are beautiful. And you can, as I said, you can sponsor them for any first responder, living or deceased. There's an awful lot of ways you can do that. And we are doing it locally here at Charlotte Memorial, and we will be placing over 300 there, which I'm sure a lot of people didn't even know there's that many veterans, cremains, and grave burials there. So we are local at 10 o'clock on National Wreaths Across America Day, which is December 18th this year. And we start our program at Charlotte Memorial at 10 a.m. So we recommend you get there early. We had a nice crowd last year. We are expecting more this year because people really want to stay local, be local. And even if you sponsor a wreath in another cemetery, you can still come out and give us a hand that day in the cemetery. We present a really nice program that people were very pleased to have locally. We had a bagpiper and a 21-gun salute. We had what the larger cemeteries had on a local basis.
That's wonderful. Now, you have your home phone number up here, which for the radio audience, I will say is 941-833-0345. And at this time, that is probably the best way to get a hold of Pat Tyler and keep your money local for a wreath here. Anytime, if you want to submit funding or anything by any other means, the secret to keeping it local is the group ID number, which is FL0499, P as in Paul. Pat has instructed that, if you send any checks anywhere, if you go on the website and submit, that you include that group ID number, and that way it stays local. Now, Pat, is there this is the website. Is there an email address or anything that you'd rather people contact you through?
My email address is there also, but I'm going to give you, well, that's my memorial one on Outlook. You can use my personal one, which is pttyler62@gmail.com. But you can also directly sponsor at Wreaths Across America, especially if you want to use a credit card and you want to donate a large amount of wreaths or money. Just make sure that you give them our group number so that a portion of those proceeds come back into our community for use locally. And primarily that's funded and comes back through St. Vincent de Paul.
Okay, clarify for me. Let me ask you something. If they contact you directly and donate to you directly, does that mean that all of the monies stay local?
Any sponsorship for the wreath goes to Wreaths Across America. After they receive the sponsorship, then they return to the local sponsorship group, which is us, a portion of the cost of that wreath for us to use here in Charlotte County, and specifically, primarily in Punta Gorda. So that's the beauty of this whole program, is honoring our veterans by placing a wreath and then being able to get something back into the community for use here.
People don't realize, but Charlotte Memorial, which has been a favorite area of mine for many years because of their involvement with the veterans and what they provide for the veterans. They have a specific veterans cemetery there, and they hold a lot of events there honoring veterans. And I think the public needs to know that we do have this locally, versus having to go up to Sarasota to the National Cemetery to honor a bunch of veterans at once. Okay, Pat, when the day comes, which is December 18th, and you place the reliefs, yeah, the wreaths, how long do those wreaths stay there? How long do they stay alive? Can
Well,
you?
I'm sure everybody knows that if you put out something without watering it all the time, especially in Florida, it doesn't last as long as it might last if there was snow covering it. But that's, again, the beauty of being in Florida. So we then have a team of people that will go back into the cemetery, remove all of the wreaths that we placed in the first place, and dispose of them so that the cemetery is then returned to its previous status, which is lovely and, very, very welcoming to people to come and visit, the cemetery. But we do have to go back and take them off.
The wreaths themselves, how are they mounted onto those rings? Is that a wire backing or is it styrofoam?
Would you believe they're all handmade? And anyone can access Wreaths Across America's website and pull up some of their videos, and just put in wreathsacrossamerica.org or Wreaths Across America, and they will direct you to the different areas. But it's amazing to see all these people standing there, literally hand making all these beautiful wreaths and putting the bows on and so on. Last year, and it was a little lower than normal, but there was 1.8 million wreaths placed around the country last year, which is impressive under the circumstances in particular. So normally it's 2.2 plus million. So it was a little less last year, but for obvious reasons. So yeah, we're very excited to be here in Punta Gorda and to offer people the opportunity to sponsor a wreath without having to travel. Sarasota does an amazing, amazing program, but we do a lovely program here on a local basis.
Well, something to say about all that is I myself have some mobility issues because I have a bad back. And I went up to Sarasota to participate in that wreath laying up there, and I was so overwhelmed. I thought, oh, there was just no way that I could participate in it. That cemetery is so huge, and to say, okay, you need to go and do this whole row, and you're like, that isn't going to happen. So, and here at Charlotte Memorial, it is smaller. You can participate if this is something that our listeners and viewers have ever wanted to do. You can be a part of this on a local level and, shall I say, a more accessible level. And now, Pat, if people want to participate in making these wreaths, when do you start and who do they?
We don't. They are all made at the Worcester Wreath Company out of Harrington, Maine. That's where they are all shipped from. We do not make them. We send our sponsorship forms to them, and we tell them we need X number of wreaths. That's what they ship to our cemetery. And last year, I became the location coordinator for this cemetery, along with the general manager, Chris Murray, and the staff there. So it's all shipped right there to the cemetery. So we don't make the wreaths. There's over 1 million, 2 million made. So they're all made at the Wreath Company in Maine and then shipped out by donation from truckers, drivers. It's just an impressive and extremely huge undertaking, but it's all, what do I want to say, volunteer. The truckers volunteer, the companies, underwrite the cost of the trucks, and it becomes bigger and bigger every year as more and more people find out about it. And that's why we wanted people in Punta Gorda to know about Wreaths Across America. CJ, you're very involved with the veterans and have been for a long time. So it was time for other people to come and give us a hand and enjoy what you do and, the fruits of your labor also.
Understand that this is Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, Arcadia. Anybody in our listening area that wants to come to Charlotte Memorial Cemetery, which is just off Jones Loop Road here in Punta Gorda, you can easily access it off I-75. Matter of fact, it sits pretty much right behind the big Walmart. So, if you want to participate on December 18th at 10 o'clock, show up, and I'm sure they'll be happy to put you to work. So,
or you can just come, and, well, we'd love to have you participate because it's very special to pick up a wreath, take it out to a grave, speak the person's name, thank them for their service, and then put the wreath on their grave. So it's a privilege and an honor for us to be able to do that.
Right? You're going to make me cry. Pat, here in Punta Gorda, we have a replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall. Do you guys do anything there at the wall at the time that you're putting these wreaths out?
National Wreaths Across America Day is dedicated to laying wreaths at the cemeteries. We have done a ceremony at the Vietnam Wall when we first began, but now that we are doing the cemetery, that is where we place the bulk of what comes into Punta Gorda. Although the DAR does a small cemetery in the Cleveland, Florida area, and there are, you can go so many different places to place a wreath. But if you want to place it here in Punta Gorda, it's at Charlotte, Memorial. And did I answer your question?
Yes. If you said something about these other cemeteries, so how would they go about getting a wreath to take in place in another cemetery?
That's where I come in. If someone has a special request, my Uncle Fred is here or there, and I would like to place a wreath there. If there's someone that's underwritten to take on the location coordination for that cemetery, then we can hook them up and send that wreath there. There's lots of different ways. So they should not hesitate to reach out either to me or to Wreaths Across America, to find out, hey, I want to place a wreath here. I will be glad to try and facilitate that for people if they want it someplace other than, a national. See, we're not a national cemetery, but we have a lot of, veterans' graves here. So that's why we're here.
In Charlotte County, we have one of the largest senior adult populations of veterans. And I think our county is ranked number 2 or 3 in the country as far as the concentration of veterans goes. So
that is true.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now you do different fundraisers during the year to help promote and raise sponsorships and funding for Wreaths Across America. Boy, yeah.
Is that a lead-in for me to tell you about my big benefit?
Yes.
Thank you.
As soon as my teeth stay in place.
We've had an excellent partnership with the Military Heritage Museum here in Punta Gorda. And Gary Butler, the executive director, has been extremely helpful in supporting Wreaths Across America and what we are doing. So to that end, we are sponsoring and hosting a benefit. It's called Night Under the Museum. and it's in the parking garage underneath the Military Heritage Museum. Tickets are only $30, and I know that this should be a flyer. Maybe Marie has one, a flyer of the contact person for tickets. And we are offering complimentary hors d'oeuvres from our local restaurants and a cash bar, a raffle, a 50-50, a silent auction. It'll be an excellent evening because we also have Michael D'Amore as our performer for the evening. And if you've ever heard him, and if you haven't, you owe it to yourself to come and listen, dance, sing, whatever. He's just amazing, and he's going to be the entertainment for that evening. It begins at 7 and goes till 10, which is Punta Gorda midnight, I think. Anyway, so it's underneath, but no tickets at the door. All tickets are pre-sale, and the contact is on our flyer. So, and it's not me. One of our team members has taken on the responsibility of doing the tickets for us.
Did you get the message?
I did.
Well, we weren't able to bring up that flyer, so I'm going to ask you, Pat, would you mind if people want to come to that wonderful event under the museum? Would it be all right if they called you with the phone number you provided? Oh, look here.
What I thought these went to Marie, and I do apologize. This is our flyer. Wherever you see it, there's a QR code in the corner, which will give you the contact information for Linda, who is doing all tickets and seating.
Okay, would you be kind and, well, or I can do it. Let's see, because we have listeners who can't necessarily see what we have here. It's not clear enough for me to read it. Would you read across the bottom who they would contact if they want to get tickets to this?
Certainly.
Quickly.
Are we ready? 609-661-9848.
Okay, and that is her phone number, right?
That is Linda's phone number. She will take care of all ticket reservations and get the tickets to you. And one thing, we are going to have capability of using credit cards the night at the benefit. So you can bring cash, but you also can bring your credit cards.
How wonderful it has been, Pat. You have given us a lot of valuable information. All of you, if you want to get involved in Wreaths Across America, you can re-listen to this. There's a lot going on. Pat, thank you so much for coming on the show. We love you dearly in everything that you do.
Thank you. You too. Thank you, Anne Marie.
We'll see you all next week. Bye.
All right.